Hello. Hello and welcome to the All About Twin Flames live Google Hangout with myself, Sarah Becca Bryan, and author Michelle Gordon. We're really excited to share all about Twin Flames because in Michelle's books, the Earth Angel Training Academy series, she talks a lot about Twin Flames in there, and it was a fairly new concept to me. I'd heard about it. I didn't really know too much about it, so we thought it'd be really good to get together and share as much as we can, because this is a big topic and obviously lots of people out there have twin flames, so we really hope that you enjoy this. We're going to take just a few moments before we sort of get started, and I'll get asking Michelle questions just so people can join us live. Obviously this is recorded as well, so thank you for joining us live if you are with us now, and for watching the recording as well. To tell you a little bit about myself, my name is Sarah Becca Bryan. I am an Earth Angel coach, mentor, messenger, and founder of the Earth Angel Sanctuary, which is a place that I set up to help Earth Angels all over the world help themselves, because it's not easy being Earth Angels. And I first came across Michelle just over a year ago now, I suppose it must have been.
Yeah.
And she sent me a copy of the Earth Angel Training Academy, and I read this. I was like, oh my gosh, I know the academy. Now I know I wasn't a teacher there, and I know I didn't personally attend the academy, but I knew it. And so if you haven't read this book, I highly recommend it for all Earth Angels, because it's a fantastic book series, and it's written as fiction. Obviously we recognise it, and it was very much channeled when you've done that. Yes. But she also talks a lot about twin flames in it. And your latest book, which you've just released, is the Twin Flame Retreat.
It's coming out this month.
It's coming out this month, yeah. And so we thought it'd be really good to share more about this, because this is quite a big topic.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually read the first copy of the book in the Earth Angel Sanctuary. And yeah, we thought it'd be good to share a bit about twin flames, because it's such a big topic, and I know there's a lot of people out there searching for their twin flames.
Every day, yeah.
So just tell us a little bit about yourself, Michelle, because obviously you've written this Earth Angel series, which is fabulous, but you've written other books as well.
Yeah.
Just so we know who you are.
Well, the first book that I wrote was the Earth Angel Training Academy, and it was channeled because I wrote it in 2 months. So I literally started at the first page, ended the last page 2 months later, and it was just there. And the editing was very much just making sure the continuity was right, and typos and things like that, but the story didn't change. And when I read it through for the first time, because I just kept writing, I didn't reread, I didn't edit or anything. When I read it for the first time, I couldn't believe the story that had come out. And the characters were very much, they were very real. That is what they said, that is what they did. I had no idea as I was writing it what was going to happen. No idea whatsoever. So it was a bit of an adventure writing that one for the first time. And then since then, I've written, I'm on my 9th.
Wow.
Is that 9? Yeah, something like that. So, but the Earth Angel series, originally it was only meant to be that one book. That was my intention, and as you know, there's the epilogue 25 years later, and I thought, well, that's it, that's done, and then people read it and were like, what happens next?
What's next? Yeah.
I was like, wasn't it obvious? And they're like, no, we want to know what happens next. So of course then I wrote the Earth Angel Awakening, and what I had assumed happened next didn't happen. No, I started writing it and I was like, oh my god, where's this going? And I write very much to find out myself what's going to happen, as much as to let everybody else know what happens. So,
well, I think it's just an amazing awakening tool to help people to realise, because you've had so many people read the books and then recognise themselves. And so such a big theme in the book is the fact that there are twin flames.
Yes.
And I see Velvet, which is the character that's based on yourself.
Yes.
And your twin flame. So there's a lot of truth in that, with what's happened in your life and your journey. So for everyone that's watching, this is maybe quite a familiar, recognise the concept of twin flame. What exactly are twin flames?
Well, it is an interesting one. I mean, I came across the concept probably in 2008, I think. I'm trying to think now. And the idea was that, we'll have soulmates, and we have soul groups, and we'll meet people that we recognise, obviously, that we've had lifetimes before with. And the idea of the twin flames was, what kind of stuck in my head when I read about them the first time, was that they don't have many incarnations together, and the incarnations usually come at the end of a period of civilization. So sort of like when Atlantis fell, or the different civilizations that have fallen, that's when the twin flames reunite.
And I suppose with now the twin flames reuniting now, it's because we are going through a major shift on the planet right now. A lot of people have obviously heard of the Ascension and the Golden Age, and I absolutely believe that is what that's why us Earth Angels are here on Earth, is to help bring about this, because obviously there is a lot of heavy energy, and we are here to anchor a light and to share our gifts in lots and lots of different ways. So, that's interesting, because thinking that they don't actually have many lifetimes.
No, they don't. And quite often as well, you'll find that some twin flames, one will stay on the other side while one's on Earth. They'll sort of take it turns to be each other's guides. But yeah, there's something about the end of these particular eras that's when the twin flames reunite. And I don't know all the reasoning for that, but that's kind of what came into the concept of the book, that we were moving into this golden age, we were moving into this shifts, and that's why the Earth Angels were beginning to reunite, and that's why more people know of the concept now, why more people are finding their twin flames. And yeah, the concept just sort of grabbed me, and that was just before I wrote the Earth Angel Training Canvas. Of course, it became part of that. But everything that I was writing about them, I didn't really know. Obviously, with it being channeled, it was just coming through. And then I wrote that before I met my own twin flame. And so obviously in the Awakening Our Story then sort of became part of that.
So has everyone got twin flames?
I don't really know the answer to that one. I'll be truthful, I don't know. I would like to think that they do, because of that feeling of being with a twin flame. Is twin flame relationships are really amazing, and I would love that everybody could experience that.
So what can you tell us what a twin flame relationship's like? Because I know yours has been obviously up and down, but how would somebody recognize a twin flame relationship?
It's an interesting one, because I know people recognize, like, people learn in different ways with their auditory, visual, and all the rest of it. There are different ways of recognizing somebody as a twin flame, and I know that some people, it's as soon as they see them, they recognize them, whether it's something in their eyes or their smile or their facial expression. Something about them visually they'll recognize. And other people, it's their voice. I mean, I've met people, not to do with twin flames, but I've met people and they're like, oh my God, I know your voice. I know you so well.
Well, it's a bit like when we first connected. We were speaking for hours. It was about 3 hours with some Skype. So we're old souls. We know each other very well.
You just recognise each other.
Never met in this lifetime.
And for me, when I recognised mine, it was smell. And because he didn't look like I imagined. He had a completely different look to what I pictured in my own head of what my twin flame looked like and what I knew my twin flames looked like. But it was on our first date, and we were sat next to each other a few hours into it, and we were sat really close, and I smelled him, and that was it. I was just like, this almost sort of like slammed into me, like, I'm home.
And that's a feeling that you've described to me, that when you know that you're with the twin flame is a feeling of home, and nothing else matters.
Nothing else matters. You don't need to be anywhere else. You don't need to be doing anything else. Just everything else kind of ceases to exist, because you just don't need anything. It's hard to explain that sort of just like you just relax. Everything disappears out of your head, and it's just amazing. You don't need to do anything else.
And I suppose this is why the twin flame relationship, because I know there's different stages, and we're going to talk. Michelle's going to show you the different stages of the twin flame relationship, because it's not easy. And there are different stages to it, and we do have a couple of questions which we'll come to towards the end, and it can be very challenging relationship, because if you just feel at home and you just don't want to do anything apart from be with that person. Obviously we are Earth Angels and we do have a mission here, and you found this, I suppose, with your twin flame, that you had to be apart to actually carry on with your mission and to get books written and to do what you're doing in the world, and likewise for him.
I mean, I know that I wouldn't have written most of the books there. Obviously, I wrote that one book. I think I wrote 2 books before we met. But it's since we've been together that I've written more books and also published the books as well, because he actually gave me the confidence to publish them. Without him, I'm not sure I would have taken that leap. Because he believes in my mission more than I do most of the time. And because of that, it has caused this kind of push-pull situation where he will push me away, because he knows that if he doesn't push me away out of the comfort of the twin flame kind of bubble,
then I wouldn't actually get on and do stuff. And every time he has pushed me away, as awful as it sort of felt, that, you know, because we've broken up many times, as awful as it feels to be apart from the relationship, it then does spur me on.
Then you've got a job to do.
Get on with
Ultimately,
things.
you've got a job to do. You have a mission here, a very important mission, because it's very much the helping awaken people with the books. It's people recognizing it. You know, with the free report that I have, based on Doreen's work, is we do have our missions, and we also have stuff to clear and to work through, and to have this spiritual growth, because we are here on this planet for a reason, and it is getting into our purpose. And sometimes it's just being nice. It's just being a nice person. That is our mission. And other times it's obviously a lot bigger, and they're very different. But if we're having that relationship where we're all consumed in that relationship, which sounds magnificent to have that twin flame relationship. So what is the difference between a twin flame and a soulmate? Because I'm understanding that we have many soulmates. We can have many soulmates. They're here to teach us. So how would you define the difference between a twin flame and a soulmate?
From my own experience, a soulmate relationship where I've been with somebody that I recognise and I'd had past lives with, and although we've never been in a relationship, past lives we've been friends, is that soulmate relationships are more sort of challenging. They're more about growth. They're more about pushing you to your limits, for you to recognise triggers. You know, they're more about learning and growing.
It's bringing it back, that love to yourself, isn't it? Because I do believe that we are here to help other people, but we must help ourselves first. Hence the reason why I created the sanctuary, so people have that place that they can help themselves, because we've got a lot of stuff to work through and to learn and to grow. And it's always about loving ourselves and accepting ourselves and that growth. So with a soulmate, it's very much to help you with that growth and a companion. So so with the twin flames, is it with the same soul, or how? I don't quite.
Well, with a twin flame relationship, it's not so much about growth and evolving, and because you've kind of already done that together, you know, as individual people. And I think part of the reason why people go through so many problems and end up separating from their twin flames is often that they find their twin flame, and I think at the moment it's happening more often. They're finding their twin flame before each of them are ready to be in a situation where they can be consumed by that.
Because I suppose the energy of twin flames together is magnificent.
It's intense.
It's intense, and it's also
really intense.
I always think it's the ripple effect, the ripple effect that goes out over the planet with that love and that energy there. And that happens quite a lot, and I know that you get loads and loads of hits on your blog all about twin flames. It's quite a big topic for people who are aware of it and thinking.
It's growing so much. I mean, literally over the last year, every single day I'll get searches on my blog for twin flame, and all of my twin flame posts that I've written over the last few years, you know, get hits every single day because people just need to know more about it. But I think for me, what I want people to sort of know is that it really is about listening to yourself. It's about going inside and figuring out, how do I feel about that? You know, people ask me, is he my twin flame? Only you can answer that. You know, I mean, I can give you the sort of different signs, how it feels for myself, but it's purely my own experience.
And we're all unique, so we're all going to have different experience. And it's tuning in and getting your own answer. If you know how to listen to your inner guidance and get a yes or a no and that kind of thing. Because when I asked, I was getting a no. My twin flame's not on this planet, but we had some weird stuff which I won't go into there. Happen with that. So that's awesome. So I know you also said that there's obviously different stages of the twin flame relationship.
There was a video that I came across, and we will put the link to the video later, and it talks about the different stages. And funny part is at the time when I came across the video, it's my flame that found the video. He sent it to me during a period of separation that we had, and he just said he was sending it because he thought I'd find it interesting, but really he'd recognised our relationship in those stages and was just like, hey, look at this. And I watched it and I was just like, oh my gosh, you know, it just described the different stages that relationships can go through, and they don't obviously all go through these stages. And some of them might even skip to the very end stage straight away. But what I found interesting about those particular stages is that many twin flame relationships at the moment are not getting past the fourth stage.
Okay, interesting.
So, and it was, well, how can we get more people to get past that stage? Because it's
helping to bring heaven on earth, isn't it? With the twin flames reuniting, it's very important, which I really sort of resonate from reading the books and stuff, how important that is. So there's obviously lots of people that who are interested in twin flames and seeking their twin flame, or may even know their twin flame. I know some people who know their twin flames and they are not together.
Yes.
So can you explain what the different stages are?
Yeah, I've written them down because terrible memory. So the first stage, obviously, is when you find them, is the recognition. So like we were just saying, you know, how do you recognize the smell, what they look like, their voice, their eyes, whatever it is, there's this recognition.
You just feel
you just feel it. And there's this sort of well, they say in the video, it's a temporary spiritual awakening. So it's kind of just like you wake each other up, and it's like, yes,
that's what it feels.
You know, and it's that sort of like, oh my goodness, you know, there is so much more to life than what I was currently experiencing. So it's this sort of temporary spiritual awakening. And then the next couple of sort of stages is the testing and crisis. So
testing and crisis. So what are they?
It's the idea that you will find that all of your old past baggage will surface to the top.
It comes,
and all these things will trigger, and it's interesting as well, because with the twin flame relationship, because it doesn't fit the typical normal societal view of relationships necessarily, but we've been conditioned to want that and to expect that. We try to fit the twin flame relationship into a normal relationship, and it doesn't work. So, you know, for example, my own flame, bless him, sorry, I'm talking about you a lot, but he had very traditional views of what a relationship should be like. And our relationship's not like that. So for him, trying to fit our relationship into his traditional views of relationships, it didn't feel right to him. So he was like, oh, well, the relationship's not right. And it was just that his own views of what it should be like weren't fitting it. So the testing is very much, how do we release our old conditioning, how do we release our programming to experience and accept this relationship which doesn't fit all of those views but is amazing. You know, because that connection is just so strong and so deep that it doesn't fit into anything that we have experienced.
You can see why a lot of twin flames are so much trouble, because of the intensity of this, the emotion and the relationship that they're having. But it is with this sort of, like you said, this sort of spiritual awakening in a way. With any awakening, and I feel as people were earth angels, it's clearing ourselves first and healing ourselves first because of past relationships, past lives, the belief systems that we have, because we just soak it up as a child from our parents, our peers, and it is breaking the mode of that and really doing that inner work. So and obviously if someone hasn't, you meet a twin flame and they haven't done any of that work, and you have, you're going to be on completely different levels.
You're going to be on different levels, yes. And I think that's what's happening. That's why the twin flames are going through these stages, is because they're meeting their flames before they've done all of the inner work. And I've done a fair amount of inner work. I mean, I've been sort of single for a long time, you know, because I was almost waiting for that kind of relationship. I wasn't interested in having just any old relationship. You know, I was quite happy by myself, and I did do a lot of my own sort of spiritual sort of work, but when you're in that sort of intense situation, so much more stuff comes up that you realise, hey, I haven't actually dealt with that. And that's where the testing kind of comes. And then the crisis, again, it's just that sort of magnified. It's that kind of, you know, one of them will start pushing away and thinking, actually, this doesn't feel right. Because it doesn't fit all of those views. And like I said, if you're at different developmental stages in the spiritual development, one of them might be a sort of more awake and can see that they're meant to be together, it's meant to work and all the rest of it, but if the other one can't see that, you get this clash.
Go. So we've got the stages as you recognise them, the testing and the crisis.
Yes. So the fourth stage is the runner stage.
Yeah, because I've seen this actually. I've recognised that word, the runner stage. What is that then?
It's basically one of them runs. Simple as that. And it's basically that it either, I mean, sometimes as well, it just can be too intense. You know, it can just be like too much. And like I said, it takes over your whole life. It takes over everything. So sometimes that intensity is just like, I can't deal with that kind of intensity. I need some space. And I think one of the things that's really important for flames, for them to learn how to be able to give each other, is space. You know, I think in any relationship, I think space is really important. But especially with the intensity that you have, you need to have that space to be able to focus on your own thing, to be able to do your inner work. Because obviously when it's so intense when you're together, you're not necessarily doing the inner work that you actually then need to do to make the relationship work anyway.
Yeah.
So it's really, and it's difficult to be able to give each other that space, because like I said, why would you want to leave home? You know, why would you want to, you know, leave somebody or somewhere that feels so good to be in?
But ultimately the flames are here on the planet now because they're here for part of the change. We have missions, so we have these different missions. So if we find our flames like, let's just stay here. So, well, actually, that's not going to work, because you're here for a bigger purpose and a bigger reason.
Yes.
To help the planet and in different ways, and having these purposes. Really interesting. So you've got a runner, and they run.
Yeah.
I'm sure
they run.
There's many people who are watching this who have maybe met their flames, and they're maybe in that stage now where they're either running or the other one is.
And it is really difficult. I mean, I've written a few posts, you know, to twin flames about letting go, about, you know, when you're in that kind of runner stage, whether you're the runner or the other person has run, it is very much about you've got to let them go, which seems completely counterintuitive to, you know, you want them back. You don't want to be broken up with them. And I get emails all the time like, you know, they run and I don't know what to do. And my answer every single time, even though for myself it was really hard to follow my own advice, is let go, cut the cords, focus on yourself, do your inner work. If they're meant to come back to you, they will.
Yeah, because even if they don't come back in this lifetime, you are going to be reunited with them. And I think because we're in this life now and we're alive now and with these people now, something that this is it. And obviously that's not the case. This is just like a you know, blink of an eye, this lifetime, and you will be reunited.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, in the book, as you know, in between their lives, you know, they're on the other side together. They're in other realms together. And I mean, I know in the story, Velvet had forgotten about her twin flame because she was, and again, that just kind of proves it, that she blocked out her twin flame relationship
to get on with her mission.
She wouldn't have been able to start and run the Earth Angel Training Academy.
I must admit, I think if I'd have sort of tested myself, said, I've got a twin flame here, or, you know, my partner, Gareth from Partner, he's my soulmate. I absolutely adore him. We're meant to be together, 2 beautiful children, very, very happy. And it's not saying, like, but so I feel very happy and content in that sort of thing. But I think, if I'd tested him, but I've got a twin flame, I'd be thinking, where is he? I want to find him. And it might have over-consumed me. So it's nice to know that actually, no, that's not the case. So, you know, I do not have a twin flame on this planet. And that's nice, in I suppose, one way for me to know that.
Because you can relax and go,
okay, I can get on
happy with it.
Yeah, and exactly. I am. I mean, I adore it. I hate it. I'd be like, I want it to be Gareth. But it's, so I don't have to sort of think or sort of stress or worry about that in a way. But if people know that they've got their twin flames,
or if they've met them and they're not together, it can take over everything.
It's like,
it's not, well, you've read The Awakening. You know, Violet, who's Velvet, she doesn't want to live anymore. She doesn't want to be here without him. And it seems completely Romeo and Juliet melodramatic and all the rest of it, but it's that feeling of just not having a reason to be here. And that's why it's really important to remember that you do have a mission and you are here for a reason, not just to meet your twin flame. And if you do meet your twin flame, great, fabulous, but don't let it derail you from what you're here to do. Because it's just too easy to do.
Because we have our missions, and the reuniting is not to just forget about the rest of the world, and like it's to unite in your own what you're doing, and to give you, like you say, John, give you that confidence to get your books published.
He completely believes in me 100 million %, and I believe in him as well, because we're both like self-doubters, you know, which tends to happen when you've got big missions. And I believe absolutely in what he's doing and what he can create. And I've seen the things that he's manifested and created and invented, and I'm just like, how do you do that? But he doesn't sort of have that belief in himself. But when it comes to what I'm doing, he's just like,
so I suppose when you have that relationship come together, it's beautiful. But you obviously still have your challenges and stuff.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, you know, me and John, we don't argue, which I think is kind of weird in some ways, because we always want the best for each other no matter what. You know, whether we're in the middle of breaking up with each other or, you know, having a bit of a tough time, we still always want the best for each other. And there's still always that sort of pure intention of, you know, we never, even if we do unintentionally hurt each other, it's never what we want for each other.
So is that in the part of when you're broken up, the part of the runner stage or the crisis stage where you're just
it was funny because I mean he was the one pushing me away, but I was the one who had to leave because obviously it was his house. So it looked like I was running, but I mean part of me I suppose was running. But it's basically just down to we were on different levels at different points, but also him having to push me out of my comfort zone to go and follow my mission.
So what is the next stage? So we have the recognition, we have the testing and the crisis. We have the runner.
So most relationships at the moment are getting to the runner stage, and that's it. Okay. And most of it is because we haven't done that inner work on ourselves before we get into that relationship.
For someone who's done a lot of work on themselves and they've met their twin flame and they're just not there right now and they're running, it's heartbreaking because it's free will. That other person needs to take things. But I suppose in one way it's coming to know that you will be reunited with them.
Yeah.
You will be reunited with them.
If, like I said, if not in this lifetime,
but
you will.
On this planet right now, you do obviously have this bigger mission, this purpose of why you're being here, which is obviously different for everybody. So what are the next stages from that?
Well, the 3 stages after that are kind of when you've both reached that level of ascending in terms of your spiritual journey. So you've got surrender, which is part of the whole the idea of letting go. You know, because once you surrender to the fact that it's all good. You know, and the other thing as well with twin flame relationship, I was saying to you the other day, is it's very much about unconditional love. You know, it's very much that you love that person no matter what they do, what they say, who they are. It's kind of usually the love that you have for your child, but when it's for another person, that's why the intensity comes in. And in the surrender, if you love somebody unconditionally, like if you love your children unconditionally, you have to let them do what they want to do. You have to set them free. You know, you can't keep them, with you forever.
If you love someone, set them free.
Exactly, and that's very much the surrender.
So it's loving them enough, isn't it, in a way,
to let them go,
and let them find their own path, and to love yourself as well, to know that it's all going to be okay in the end. You're going to reunite.
Absolutely, and the letting go, it's kind of like I said, it's that weird sort of process. You let go. And then often they come back. And at that point, when they do come back, if you really let go, then you're happy in the knowledge that actually you can survive without them. And I think that's a really important
imagine
part
there's
of
many people that don't want to survive without them.
No, and I didn't. You know, sometimes that we're broken up, I've not wanted.
Well, as you can, if anyone has read the books, they can read that. So what's the next 2 stages, the last 2 stages?
So there's radiance and harmonizing, and I think that's just. It's just as you evolve together then spiritually, once you've reached the same levels at the same time, it just becomes this very harmonious sort of union. But I think in that, again, some people think, oh, you're together all the time, or you're in this bubble again. And I don't think it's about that. I think it's about finding that new relationship paradigm.
And it's also, in a way, when twin flames have got to that stage, that is part of their mission then, to be in that, because of the energy that they are emitting, especially it's that bit more intense. So and it's all about the ripple effect. I think that everything that we do, it has this ripple effect over the whole planet, and it all adds up, even if it's making no difference. All of that adds up to having twin flames. It's beautiful to think that, and I would love for all the twin flames to reunite and to get to this stage. But unfortunately, we are in this spiritual evolution at the moment, this massive growth on this planet right now, which is why we're all here. So it is taking responsibility for ourselves, doing the inner work that we need to do to help ourselves and clear past traumas or beliefs or whatever that may be, so that we can be in that place and be ready and knowing in a way that it's all going to be okay.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know, there's something, again, going back to the idea of trying to fit the twin flame relationship into a normal relationship, I think that's where the whole runner part comes into it, because it doesn't fit this concept, this idea. So I think the last 3 stages are really about creating your own paradigm, your own version of what a relationship is. And if that means that you live on different continents and you meet up for like a week every month or whatever it is, it's gotta fit your mission.
It's gotta work for you.
It's gotta work with what you're doing.
Because I know, obviously, with you that you're spending the summer in Scotland because you're right, you've got books you need to write, and obviously you're not going to be with your twin flame in that time.
No.
I mean, that's quite brave, because you could just spend all my time with him, but you know that with your purpose and your mission here, that these need to be birthed through you, these need to come out into the world. And I think it's really quite a courageous thing, and obviously you're blessed to have met your flame and to be doing this. So people that they're in the run and they need to let go, how can they do that?
Well, there's a few different ways that I've tried, I've sort of let go. I mean, you can do it energetically, spiritually, with the idea of cutting cords. So, you've come across the idea where with everybody that you meet, everybody, not just your twin flame or your intimate partner or whatever, you create these energetic cords. Yeah. And the cords are quite often attached to a particular part of your body or chakra. And these cords, all the time that there's a mutual sort of exchange of energy, these cords can be sort of beneficial, and they're good for the man. Like right now, there's probably a cord between the two of us. And once mutual exchange of energy, it's great. But when there becomes a time where one person is taking more of the energy, receiving more of the energy than they're giving, it can be draining. And at that point, you need to like cut the cords. So, and visualizing, basically, I ask Archangel Michael, because he's usually got the sword, and I ask him to cut the cords, and ask him to cut the cord where it's attached to myself, cut the cord where it's attached to the other person, and then to take the cord into the light, to transmute it into lovely light, and then to replace the gap that's left behind with a mirror, to reflect back. Because what you'll find 9 times out of 10, if you cut a cord with somebody, they will instantly get in touch with you, because they feel it. They feel that cut off, they feel that disconnect, and they want to reconnect again. Yeah. And I mean, this happens like when you have relationships that aren't good relationships, and you need to cut off, and you'll find that your ex immediately like call you up, and every time they get in touch, you have to cut the cord again. Because every time they're reconnecting. And it's good to do that on a daily basis, really, because like I said, every single person you meet every day, even through the internet, on the phone, there will be a cord between you, and you can find yourself feeling drained because all these cords are taking all of your energy that you've got attached. So one of the ways to let go of your twin flame would be to cut the cords. And again, you'd have to do it as a daily ritual for a while, because there will be this reconnecting. And also, I don't know.
I suppose, what's just come into my head as you said that, because if I'm just trying to put myself in that sort of situation, because I know that there are so many people who, if you're watching this, you know that twin flames, yours, you're with yours, or you're not with them, and it must be so heartbreaking. And the thought of like kind of causing yourself, but I love you. So what immediately just come into my mind is to send that cord up and to connect with them upstairs, as I always like to call it. Yeah. Because obviously part of someone's spirit, I believe, is up there, because we are everything. Yeah. So instead of sort of cutting the cords with someone, is to like have that connection with them on a spiritual level, because whether we're with them in the physical, the 3D on this planet, they still have their higher self, so we can still connect in that way. And that was just the image that popped into mind. If I'm going to cut cords with you, so I'm heartbreaking, but if I think, right, no, I'm going to connect with your higher self, I know you're already with me, and I feel lighter. So I'm just trying to put myself in people's situations, how I feel, and that's what's just popped in. So I just feel it's important to share with people that maybe that's something that people could potentially do.
Well, to be honest, no matter what letting go process you choose, you're always going to be connected to them.
Yeah, that's why. So it's having
exactly.
It's
just there.
They're not connected on this physically, but by thinking I'm connected, spiritually with them, I always have that connection, and to focus on that, not so much the physical person that is manifested, because obviously in the books, the soul, the twin flame, was in different people. Yes. So I mean, I do believe, I had some experience of it, that it can sort of jump, and which I won't go into that, but it's so I think that might offer someone a little bit of confidence that feels that to be able to connect with your twin flame, spiritually, their higher self, because you will be reunited with them. Yeah. It'd be great if it happens on in this lifetime, but if it doesn't, you will be reunited, and you can have that connection, a bit like the connection to source, to God, to Jesus, whatever your religious affiliation, whatever it is that you connect to, but to maybe to connect with them that way, it just feels more comforting to me by putting myself in that situation.
Absolutely. And I think it's a tricky line, because you need to let go fully. You need to really allow them to move on. You need to move on yourself and all the rest of it. Even though in the back of your mind you're thinking, well, we're still connected, it's not gone, But it's that sort of, it's that sort of fine line between sort of lying to yourself that you've let go and actually letting go.
Yeah.
And I think if you know in your heart that you're always going to be connected, then it's easier to let go, because it's not for eternity. You will be reunited, you will be together, and you are always connected, no matter what you do, no matter where you are.
I think it's having that when you've had a taste of it, I suppose, in a way, when you've met
it's them. Difficult when you've had that physical feeling of being with them. It's hard to let that go when that's all that you actually want. I can imagine that. I'm just sort of trying to put myself in that situation and think, how would I feel? And it'd be like, oh. And the thought of letting them go, I don't want to let them go. the switch in that and think, well, this is a human body that their spirit is in, and I can let go of that body and connect this other way, because obviously with meditation you can connect with that higher self. You can connect in different ways. Absolutely, yeah.
With that, it's just obviously maybe not physically here, which I think obviously people do long for that. But as I say, just trying to imagine myself what that would feel like. I feel a lot of comfort just connecting this way, to be able to let go on the physical, because obviously we have missions to do. We have a reason to be here on this earth, and obviously experience all that there is to experience. And it is obviously free will, and some people are just not at that level. They're just not that.
They're not ready.
They've got stuff that they need to clear, and a relationship would cause more disharmony in your life than the joy that you're going to get, and more anguish and more trauma. So by letting go and have that connection, maybe just bring a little bit more peace in, so that you can keep going and doing the good work that you're doing, because I'm sure you're all doing good work in whatever way that may be, and all the little things add up. I shared on a hangout that I done last week, the gorgeous Katie Speed, who channels an angel called Shimlaya, about how the story of a beach full of starfishes, and as a child picking up and just throwing them in. That's 1,000. They'd all been washed up, and someone said, what are you doing? You can't make a difference. And he picked the starfish up and threw it. He said, I made a difference to that one. And that's very much what Earth Angels, what we're doing here on Earth right now. We are making a difference, one person at a time. And if we just all consumed, I suppose, in this, the wanting and not being in this space where we're not helping anyone, including ourselves. So definitely. It's really about, I suppose, loving yourself. So if people are, they have this twin flame relationship, and say that they're going, how do they stay on track? If they've met them and they've got getting through these stages, how can they stay on track?
Well, like I said earlier, allowing each other space is a massive thing. I've got several friends who are in twin flame relationships, and there's just like this real sort of friction, and I'm like, you need to give each other space. You need to take a little step back out of the intensity of it, and you need to, and it might feel artificial to create that space of like, I'm going out every Monday night or whatever it is, but you've got to have that space. Otherwise you don't feel,
because you're not growing yourself, you're stifling yourself.
Exactly.
And I can really sort of relate to this, because I know I'm blessed to say with my relationship with Gav, bless his heart, we have a great relationship, and he has always allowed me to grow. The courses, the times I've been away and doing trainings and doing different things, he's always allowed me to do that, because I wouldn't be with him if he never. And in previous relationships I have that were a bit all consuming. I was in a completely different place and very much, did you love me sort of thing. And I've always found that I couldn't grow in those relationships. I had to be single to grow and to learn and to do these different things, and I just couldn't in those relationships because I suppose in a way my self-worth was based on what they thought of me, maybe in a way. It just seems like lifetimes ago really when I think about it now, but I had to be single to grow. I'm blessed to be in a relationship now that I can grow and be in a relationship. So I'm pretty lucky in that way. But we need to have this growth, and I suppose if we're in this relationship, unless you're both at that place where you both know with yours, you need to go, Michelle, and to grow and to allow you to do that. It really sounds pretty wonderful, really, because you're both, you've got this energy that you're creating, and you're both doing what you're here to do.
Yeah, and it's taken us a while to sort of figure out, well, what works for us. You know, we know that being apart doesn't really work. We know that being together 24/7 doesn't really work. And I think, you know, it'll change and grow and evolve over time as well. You know, there will be times when we will be together 24/7. There'll be times when we are apart for longer periods of time. But we're just going to have to go with that. I think there's just that sort of programmed belief that you meet somebody, you know, you move in together, you get married, you have kids, you sort of follow this progression, and that anything outside of that typical route is just weird or wrong or doesn't feel
like
right.
you said, we are creating a new paradigm here on Earth. There's stuff happening now that's never, you know, it's not happened before. The population, for one, on the planet, you know, people queuing up to get on this planet now because we are going through this change, the reunion of the flames, whether on Earth or in spirit, when it's time for us to go home. It is all happening. So I suppose we just really want to I hope that's really sort of helped you understand the different stages of twin flames and a bit more, you know, what they're about, and that there is always hope and that you will have that reunion with them.
Yes, yeah.
And it'd be awesome if it can happen on this plane, but if they're not quite ready, then, and I really hope that me sharing about, like, you know, we're just connected with the higher self is really going to help them. We do have a couple of questions. If you have any questions, you can type it in. I believe I'm not sure if the question and answer will come up, actually. I can't actually see them on there. Let me just have a quick check. I'll just double check if we have got any questions. So yeah, okay, so we've got a couple of questions, so we're just gonna go through them and have a couple of questions before. So I'm just gonna connect on now. So I got one from Mike. Hi, Mike. Hello, Sarah. Knowing that we have each made agreements with our twin flames before being born into this physical realm, I know that my own twin flame has always spiritually been there for me, and I too have always been there for her. Please let me know how I can finally meet her in the physical sense to thank her for all that she's given me to live for. Oh, bless you, Mike. Bless Mike. Mike, if you're watching, be with you, love, my friend. So how can you finally meet her in the physical sense to thank her for all she's given me to live for? What do you say? Because I know we're going to do a little meditation.
Yeah, we're going to do a meditation too, which I actually feature in my books, not in full, but the idea of it to get a clue, a message, you know, to do with your twin flame. But the first thing that came into my mind when you're reading that out is you don't actually need to find her in the physical to be able to thank her, because with your connection, she knows. She already knows that. I know you want to feel that in the physical, but I mean, you could actually, I know it's sort of something doing spiritual practice, but you could actually write her a letter. You could, you know, there's lots of different things that you could do to express that, but ultimately through your connection with her, she's going to know anyway. Yeah, because I suppose we can't say whether you're actually going to meet her in this lifetime or not. No. But knowing that she's there, I really hope that helped you. Might be just something about that connection and you know, being able to thank her. I mean, I speak to my father's higher self sometimes when he's a bit cross with me for whatever reason. I've not done him dinner or something. And the children, and I suppose that you can do that. But the meditation that Michelle is going to do is going to give people a clue to their twin flame, Michelle. Either a message or a clue, or, you know, it could be a place name, it could be an item, you know, there'll be something that will be connected to your twin flame in some way. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I hope that helps you, Mike. Bless you. Okay, so I got one from Jennifer Parkwin. I think I found my twin flame. How do I make sure I have? Is it true that sometimes our twin flame will run away from us and come back? Maybe a few times. If so, why do they do this? Does a twin flame ever last into a lifelong partnership? Well, I hope we sort of answered that a little bit with the runner and the different stages. Yeah, and I think it is possible to have a long-term relationship with your twin flame, but to get to the last sort of 3 stages, the surrendering, the radiance, the harmonizing, it is about doing the inner work, doing your own mission, following your own mission. Because in a way, it seems kind of crazy, but when John was pushing me away, but he wasn't conscious why he was pushing me away. We realise now it's because he was trying to get me to follow my mission. Yeah. And the funny part is, it was funny, but he would push me away, so I would go and follow my mission, and then he like absolutely have to have me back, because to him that was so amazing and so attractive that he wanted me back, you know, because I was following my mission. But then as soon as we'd get back together again, I'd
You'd
get
stop it.
consumed
Yeah.
by the relationship. And he's like, no, 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 no.
Everything you've learned, the fact again,
Yeah.
it's got learned for 5 months, but you're still together.
Yeah.
But you can follow your mission and be
Exactly.
together
And
and
that's-
continue this.
That's why we've managed to get to this stage.
Yeah.
But
So how does
it was
Jennifer
funny.
make sure that she's found her twin flame?
It's again going within. It's actually asking, ask your higher self, but go in and ask yourself. You know, do I feel like I have come home in his presence? Do I feel like, you know, I don't need anything else? Don't need all those kinds of things we were talking about earlier. Just that sense, that feeling of belonging with that person. Of just, you know, I mean, we've talked before about how Earth Angels quite often they want to go home. You know, they want to leave this planet because why the hell would they stay here? And I believe in some ways that the twin flame reunion is about helping Earth Angels to stay on this planet, because when they find their twin flame, they are home, so they don't need to go home to the other side. So it's kind of a way of keeping them here.
We want you to stay.
Know, we do want you to stay.
You're making such a difference in yourself.
So, and that's why it's even more heartbreaking, like I said, when the twin flames part, because then they want to go home because they're not with them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's more about going within and asking yourself, you know, whether they're your twin flame, but also in some ways, it doesn't really matter. I mean, the whole idea of twin flames is about loving unconditionally, and if you can love the person that you're with unconditionally, then that's it.
As I say,
You know?
Gareth is my soul. I adore him and love him unconditionally. So you can have really happy, healthy relationships, even if they're not technically your twin. Oh, I was testing him, and I'm getting he is, because I'm going, can I get him? Yeah, and that's another story. We won't go into that. So we've got a question from Jen. Hi, Jen. Big hugs to you. Do twin flames always recognise each other? There is never a time. Is there never a time when one doesn't recognise the other? And is it okay to call them in? Do you think, or not? I've asked to feel them around me before, which I very much feel energetically. But do you recommend doing this? That's thanks from Jen. And I know I have actually worked. So just jumping in, I've actually worked with someone, and we did actually energetically call in her flame. And we was doing some work around it. So I do think you can, but what do you think, Michelle?
Well, like I was saying before, with the idea of being at the right stage, I mean, she was saying, you know, can one twin not recognise the other? And I think, yes, absolutely. You know, there's
if they're sort of shut down spiritually.
Yeah, because like I said, quite often, for some reason, one flame will be more awake than the other, will be more aware than the other. I mean, I knew from the moment I met John, that was it. You know, and that we were meant to be together.
Yeah.
He wasn't at that stage at that point.
Yeah.
You know, and every time he was pushing me away, it was an unconscious, subconscious kind of thing. He knew that something wasn't right, but he couldn't figure out what it was. And he thought it was a relationship, but it wasn't. It was because I was on my mission. You know, so there's always different sort of things where the more aware and more awake you become, and if you can do that together, great. But quite often you do need the space to be able to do it yourself.
Yeah.
And so yes, absolutely, you can recognize your flame, and they're not quite there yet. And I think that's happening more at the moment. And I don't know whether it's because the flames need to go through the experience of meeting each other and then going their separate ways, and then they'll come back together at a later date when they've actually done all the spiritual work. It seems kind of crazy when you think about it. You think, why can't we just do all the spiritual work and then meet each other, and then we don't have to keep breaking up all the time? But I don't know. I think that's part of our evolution, our own growth as well.
Yeah, it's isn't that growth? Because I know, dear soul sister Sandy, if you're watching Sandy, we've spoken about this. She knows, but they can talk telepathically to each other. She thinks, and they'll call and text, and so they have this deep connection that but they're not together physically, and that I think that is very hard. But it's done that. We've got these purposes, and with so I don't mind me saying this, Sandy, but with that, it's like, well, she knows that he needs to grow, and she's doing so much good in the world, and writing a book now, and it's having that, I suppose, that acceptance, that I suppose it's the more spiritual that you are, the more that you can accept that. Maybe in a way. And I know obviously it's having that connection in some way, because we're always connected in some way. So,
but in some ways as well, it's, I mean, obviously very painful when you separate, when one runs or whatever. But actually, that pain can be used for good.
Turning that into.
I would have written most of my books without our relationship being as up and if we had just gotten together and it had just been plain sailing all the way through completely. If we'd skipped to the harmonious stage immediately, I wouldn't have written all the
We wouldn't
books
have
that I've
none,
written.
we probably wouldn't have, well, we wouldn't have connected.
But, you know, because it would have just been, hey, which is very awesome, everything's great now. And I think the pain that we go through and the separation and everything else, it helps us to help other people who are in the same situation. It helps us to learn and grow from it, but also to create amazing things that speak to people, that reach people.
Absolutely.
You know, and so even though at the time when you're experiencing the pain, you can't see this, you can't understand it. I mean, goodness, if somebody tried to say to me, oh, you'll see the blessing in it one day, I would have decked them one.
Yeah, don't need
Shut
that
up,
now.
But it just, it's about recognizing that actually we go through all of these painful experiences for a reason. You know, it's not just random or whatever. It's for a very good reason. So when you're calling in your flame, I would say do that if you're safe in the knowledge that you feel that you've done enough spiritual work that if you meet your twin flame, you know, you'd be in a position where you could make it work.
Yeah, and I suppose, as I say, maybe call them in on the spiritual sense as well. So it's have it, cause, you know, the guardian angels connection, everything else. So maybe to call it in that way, so that they're still with you, even though obviously not in that physical sense. People obviously want them in the physical sense. It's just an alternative. So I hope that helped, Jen. So obviously you might not recognise straight away, but yeah, it's okay to call them in as long as you're doing the work. So let's just check what other questions that we have. Okay. Let's see. One second. So I've got one here from Sarah Murphy. Sarah, is there such a thing as a false twin flame? And if there is, how can you tell the difference between a true twin flame and a false twin flame?
False twin flame. I suppose you could have the instance where you meet somebody and you feel a really deep connection to them, and
well, you've had that experience.
I have had that experience. So. Yeah, I met. We'll call him Corduroy because that's the character's name in the book. I wrote the Earth Angel Training Academy, and then I met him 2 months later. I'm saying I've met a lot of the characters in the book. And I felt a really deep connection to him. I did love him unconditionally. It didn't matter what he did. So it felt very much like a sort of a true connection.
Like a twin flame. Did you think he was your twin flame?
No, I don't think I did. Even though I had that really deep connection, and if somebody described the different things to me, I would
think that was him.
Yeah, actually, we have all of that. But it was, in a spiritual sense, or in a physical sense, it was a toxic relationship because he didn't abide by anything spiritual. I mean, literally in the 10 months we were together, I had to put away all my spiritual books. I had to, you know, he would go to great lengths to try and prove that all the spiritual authors that I loved were frauds, and I mean, it was kind of extreme, and there was a lot of issues and a lot of anger and things on his side. But I did have that real strong connection to him, and it wasn't until we'd split up that I realized that he was the character of Corduroy in the Earth Angel Training Academy, because Velvet and Corduroy had been friends for many lifetimes,
and they'd worked
so
together
many
at
lifetimes,
the academy,
and they worked together at the academy. So that deep connection was there, and that friendship. And I mean, in the book, I'd actually written why the relationship was never going to work, which was that Corduroy had been in love with her through all those lifetimes, despite the fact they'd never had a relationship. But because he'd finally admitted it just before this lifetime, and she'd rejected him, it was a feeling of guilt. It was that feeling of, I rejected you and I'm so sorry. And it was kind of like to try and make up for it in a weird kind of way. So it was more of a sort of karmic thing. But yes, we did have that really deep connection. But I wouldn't have said that he was my home. Like, I didn't feel like I was home when I was.
So with Sarah's question, is there such a thing as a false twin flame, and how would you tell the difference? So
I mean, some people have emailed me and said, you know, this is about my twin flame, and I've done the reading, and then a little bit further down the line, they email me back and go, that wasn't my twin flame. And I think they've had a similar experience to what I had, where they had that deep connection and they were thinking, oh, this is it, this is my twin flame. But then so
it's the label. You never put the label on Corduroy as your twin flame, even though you had all the connection and stuff there.
Yeah, I think I kind of knew on some level that he wasn't.
But
so I think
maybe people could do that, and they think, this is my twin flame because you've got this connection. But actually, it's not. It could just be like a soulmate or from the past and something like that.
Yeah, so some sort of karmic sort of reason why you come together. but I think at the end of the day, like I said, it almost doesn't matter. The label doesn't really matter. The whole twin flame label, the soulmate, whatever. It's about loving unconditionally. And if you're with somebody that you cannot love unconditionally for some reason, or they don't unconditionally love you, then it's just like you've got to ask yourself, well, is it worth being in this relationship? Really? You know, twin flame or not, the label doesn't really matter. It's about loving somebody unconditionally. And if you love somebody unconditionally, but they keep hurting you intentionally, you've got to, and I know it's really, really difficult because I've been in that
I think the most important relationship is a relationship that we do have with ourselves, and loving ourselves and accepting ourselves and having, you know, standards and what is acceptable. Because you wouldn't treat someone else like a piece of dirt. So why are you letting people treat you like that?
Exactly.
Anyway?
And I think incarnated angels in particular find that so, so difficult. And I have so many friends who, and it's because they see the best in people. It's because they see that divine spark of light within that person. They see their soul, and they are in love with that person's soul, and they can't.
Potential. You would just want to come to. I've had plenty of relationships, and I think, yes, I've got like, I can help them. I can help them. I've actually physically said it. I can help them. You know, and it's like, oh, you know, but obviously I've realised very quickly. Actually, let's put the old soul, and you can see. Actually, no, this ain't going to happen because they won't help themselves. I'll only help people that will actually help themselves. So really hope that's helped answer your question. So I'd like, there are. You can have a really deep connection. So I suppose you can also test. You can, you know, ask your high guidance. You know, dowse, muscle test. There's different ways of getting in tune and to get the correct answer.
And also not to get hung up on the labels of it. You know, if you're with somebody you love unconditionally, who cares what the label is? You know, it's really about being in the unconditional.
Okay, awesome. Okay, we've got another question from Jelena. I hope that's how you say your name. Big hugs to you. Who's liking my stuff on Facebook? I love that. Hi Sarah, and you're an angel as well, by the way. Hi Sarah, this is my question. Can your twin flame help from the other side to assist you to grow? Sorry, it's Catherine. Sorry, I'm getting questions mixed up. This is from Catherine Harrison, Jen's mum. Catherine. Can your twin flame help you from the other side to assist you to grow spiritually?
Okay. Well, there's kind of an interesting one of my other books. One of the latest ones, I'm Here, is co-written with a spirit, and this is a spirit who's been with me since 2005. And in some ways, I mean, I don't think we're twin flames, but we've always been connected at quite a deep sort of level. About 3 months after he passed away in 2005, he turned up. Things started going crazy. And he's been with me ever since. And he's been part of the reason why I've written the books as well, because he's kind of nudged me from the other side to write the books. And he has very much helped me. I mean, he's helped me in a sort of physical sense. I mean, he protects me anywhere I go by myself at night. I don't even worry about it because he's there, and I know he is. He's like 6 foot, you know, big guy when he was alive. And but he really pushed me to write the book I'm Here about, and it's basically our story. Is why I resisted writing it for so long, because it was almost too personal. I mean, I know the Earth Angel books are quite personal because my story's in them, but it's in a more of an abstract sense. But this was really much more personal than that, and he has helped me to grow spiritually so much, because he, in the book, I sort of, you know, I channeled his side of the story, and he was describing what it was like to be in the dimension with the guardian angels. He's describing, you know, about how time doesn't exist there, and just being able to see all these different things. And it kind of blew my mind a little bit, because I've had so much proof that he is actually around me. I've had mediums come to me and going, well, who's this person? I'm like, yeah, okay, you know. It's just, you know, so I know he's there. I've had proof that he's there, and I know, I feel it anyway. But he has helped with the spiritual stuff a lot. So I think, yes, if your twin flame is in spirit, if they're on the other side, they are absolutely helping you. Because like I said earlier, you know, sometimes you have that contract where one of you's on Earth and one of you's on the other side.
I think there's probably quite a lot that their twin flames aren't here, but they have twin flames, but they're not here.
Yeah.
So it's...
And also with the idea of the walk-ins, just because your twin flames in spirit right now doesn't mean that at some point they might not actually be on Earth.
This is something that happened,
in an adult
really
body.
Interesting,
you know,
with the jumping of the twin flame in a way. I think, well, my personal experience and what we've spoken about, that is possible. Yeah. But yeah, so in answer to your question, Catherine, absolutely, they're helping you.
Definitely.
Big hugs to you. It's just the love. It's all about the love. Hope that really helps you with that question. Okay, so
what was
Jelena, I think this is how you say your name. Bless you, absolute angel. Okay, I cannot stop the war between me and my twin. I'm not talking with my twin for the last year. What should I do?
Let go, cut cords, and go within, focus on yourself, focus on your mission. That's, I mean, I know that's become my sort of standard answer, but it really is what has impacted my own life the most. You know, when we've been in these periods of separation, the more that you can release them to go and do their own spiritual work as well. Because that's the thing, if you've got somebody who's running, it's because they're desperately needing to figure stuff out for themselves. And if you don't give them the space to do that, and you get them back, it's not going to work. You know, you have to do that work individually on yourself. And I think you know, as we've said, as hard as it is, you know, it's like a war. You know, if the two sides do not do the work to lift themselves up spiritually, even if you come back together again, it's just not going to make any difference. It's not going to work.
Yeah, and I think it's firstly being willing to let go. And I'm getting a know that there's a lot that just aren't even willing to let go, because they'd rather stay in that war and have that connection than to be able to surrender and let go. So I'm just going to tune into that energy here. So for anyone that's watching, that's maybe experiencing this, or if you're watching the recording still, just give me permission from your higher self. So everywhere that maybe that you're not willing to let go, I'm just going to just see if we can just sort of let go of some of this energy now, so that you can be in a place where you can be in a place where you can just let go and know that you're going to be okay and that you're going to be connected. So I'm just going to tune in. Okay, so there's something that's under that, so we can just, it's like there's a fear under there of letting go of the that's it sort of thing. So I'm just gonna see if we can just sort of pull this, just gonna let go of this fear on an energetic level. And so if you are watching this recording, this still works. This is my intention with the energy work that we do. So we're just gonna sort of pull this up. Okay, and it's just so we can replace that with some love and some peace and some faith. Okay, I'm getting it's willingness now to be able to let that go. So in a way, it's like letting go of that physical sense and to connect with the spiritual aspect of your twin, because obviously on spiritual aspect, we love you, and I believe that we can be here, but our soul can be with the people as well, because obviously we're multi-dimensional beings. So I'm just going to just tune in there. Yeah, so that's shifted a bit of energy around that voice. So it's just being love them enough to let them go, bless them, love, and just bring that love back in.
And love yourself enough to carry on.
Yeah, and it's just bring that love within you, because you are a beautiful, beautiful soul. And I can see the radiance, and I see you on Facebook, and just bring that love in, because although on that physical sense you can let that go, it's like it opens it up on a spiritual sense to allow that to come in to support you physically, because it's like it's such a disservice to everyone who just can't let go, and it's this awful disconnection, this war going on. That's not serving you, and it's not helping you. So just being able to let that go and just come in, it just So just let me know, either pop on here, or just send me a private message on Facebook if you want. I really hope that's just helped you a little bit there. So if anybody else has any more questions, just pop them on. What we're going to do is we're going to go into it'll be an hour. We're already over. So we're just going to go into meditation. So just tell us a little bit about what can we expect from this. This is what happens live. Your father-in-law, bear with me. Shall I carry on?
Yeah, sure. Somebody at the door. It's all good. So yeah, the meditation that we're going to do was a meditation that I was taken through years ago, And in some ways, it's better not to have any expectations at all, because I always think that sometimes like
live television.
Oh yeah. So sometimes it's good not to have any expectations at all, just to be open to the experience. Because, but also as I'm taking you through, it's a visual guided meditation. But if I'm saying things that don't fit with your own vision inside your head, go with what's inside your mind. You know, don't try and fit your vision to what I'm saying, because sometimes I'll be saying something like, well, actually, that's not what's in my vision. That's great. Just go with what. So I'll try and be as vague as possible, but while helping you to.
And this is going to give us some kind of clue.
It could be a sign or a symbol or a word or something that is related. If you hold the intention that what you're looking for is something to do with your twin flame, then you should hopefully get something that is related to your twin flame.
Yeah, and this is actually in the book as well, which is quite cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it's mentioned in the Awakening, and it's mentioned in the Twin Flame Retreat.
You actually do twin flame retreats anyway, don't you?
Yeah, we'll be doing twin flame retreats. Yeah, it's
obviously not this summer.
Obviously not this summer. No, I'll be in Scotland. But yeah, I mean, the concept behind the twin flame retreat. I mean, it's quite funny, because in the Awakening they go to the twin flame retreat and they do these meditations, and then my flame then decided that he was going to turn the house into a wellness center. I was thinking, well, because I did actually base it on the house. You know, they drive down this very sort of bumpy lane, and you know, that was the picture in my head, and the trees in the middle of the woods, and so it has become based very much on the house and everything. So the idea is to create these retreats as well, and John wants to do more for men as well, because I think for men, getting into the whole spiritual arena sometimes can be really tricky to find people to relate to. And John is very much down to earth, very grounded, but he's very spiritual as well. So
I think there's lots of spiritual men out there.
Yes.
I think, I don't know if say there's more women men. It's pretty much.
I think it's just find that women are more open about it.
Yeah, because women, we love to talk. But then again, obviously there are plenty of men that do that. I mean, I'd say over half of my mailing list are guys.
Yeah. It's just sometimes they just don't have that support group the way that women do.
Yeah.
You know, women can talk about angels and fairies and things, and it's okay to be all sort of like sparkly and fairy-like.
Yeah.
But when men try to do that, it's just like, you know, are you gay or something? And it's just like, well, hang on a minute, you know. It's that sort of stigma around it.
You got to be a guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Some of the most amazing mediums and psychics that I know are the least likely looking person that you'd imagine would be into that stuff. You know, they're like ex-rugby players. They're all sort of big. They're in their like shorts and polo shirts, and they're totally down to earth. But they'll talk about fairies and energies and stuff, and it's just like, oh, hang on a minute. And I love that, because it's completely breaking the old stereotypes of what it is to be spiritual. You know, we're not all spiritual people, all hippies. And,
we're all spiritual beings.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And we're all at just different stages of awakening up to our nature. And so let's go into this meditation.
Yes. Okay. Get comfortable. So I just got one notes just in case I lose the track. So we're going to just close our eyes and take 3 deep breaths. Now I want to imagine that you're on a little path, and that you're making your way down this path. I want you to just take notice of what's either side of you, scenery, the location, birds singing. Just make your way down this little path. And after a few moments, you're going to notice that there's a house inside of the path. And just stop for a moment and take in what that house looks like. And then you come to realize that this is your house. So you open the gate, go down the path to the front door, and take notice of what the front door looks like, what's around the front door, what's in the garden. And then put the key in the door, open the door, and enter your house. And then just for the next few moments, if you just walk around the house, taking note of the decor, furniture, pictures on the wall, just explore the rooms. See, just make a mental note of what you can see, what you can smell, what you can feel. might be very much like your house is now, it might be completely different. So you go upstairs, have to look around the bedrooms. And then if you make your way down to the kitchen, take note of what the kitchen is like. It's warm and cosy. It's clean and tidy, with a washing up and sink. And then you notice that there's a back door in the kitchen. It takes you outside to the garden. You go out to the garden and take notice if there's any ornaments out there, and garden furniture, what trees are there, what plants. And as you walk down the garden path, you notice that there's a patch of soil that's been dug over, and there's a spade next to it. So you pick up the spade, and then just start to dig in this little patch of soil. It's quite easy to dig because it's already been dug over before. And as you dig down just, say, a foot or so, you find yourself hitting a box. And you carefully put the spade to one side, and you carefully pull the box out and brush the soil off of the box. And you know that inside this box is something that's related to your twin flame, whether it's a word or an object inside the box. So what I want you to do now is open the box and see what's inside it. You can put what's inside it in your pocket, or just remember what it is. So once you're happy that you've taken the contents of the box, you can just close it up and place it back in the ground and push the soil back over it. And we're going to make our way back down the path, and you can either leave that side garden or go back to your house. Close the door and the gate behind you. And then just make your way back up the path. And when you get to the end of the path, in your own time, just open your eyes and come back to it. Awesome. Good. It's a very short meditation. Don't do long ones.
Really interesting. The show I got, it was I got a little gold box, and I opened it, and there was a mirror, but then there was a little dancer. But as I was jumping, I was dancing down the path, and like, and it was just, yeah, it's quite nice. So
it's like a musical box kind of dancing.
Yeah, it was like a musical box that turns around dancing,
Yeah.
but it was like me dancing, but there was a mirror behind it,
Right.
so I see myself. Yeah, so interesting. Whatever we may have got from that. And we really hope you've enjoyed this, and we've covered. If there's any else questions,
Covered everything?
put them on there. I think we have. I think we have covered.
Everything,
I think we covered everything.
lost my piece of paper.
Let me have a look.
Here we go.
At my notes.
Cutting cords.
Yeah, how to recognise between times are general stages, letting go of cutting cords.
I mean, like we're saying, the most important thing is do your own spiritual inner work. Stay on your mission, staying on your course, wasn't it? Was one of the other things. And that's just, maybe it's even just finding something to anchor yourself to your mission. You know, finding that, whether it's a talisman, whether it's an email of encouragement from somebody, whatever it is, find whatever it is that you need to keep you on mission, to keep you on course, and not get sidetracked by being in an intense relationship.
Yeah, because I think, you know, it's pretty challenging. Obviously, when you shared, and obviously with the emails, and obviously what the emails that you get from people, and obviously some of the questions and everything. Yeah, it can be pretty challenging. I've got twin flame, are they here? You know, and then knowing them and dealing with all of that. So we really hope that this has helped you, and just like the event you kind of done earlier, if you're having trouble letting go, it just helped a little bit with that. And just really just to connect, I think, in that way. Whether they're on this planet or not right now, you're really important with what you're doing. And we have purposes, and if we come in together, but it's not right. A bit like Michelle was saying with how being pushed away is, we're on a mission. and we're all here. We're all here for a reason. Whether it's something just as, you know, working, you know, in a shop, just smiling and being happy, and or whatever way that may be, it all really does add up.
Yeah.
And it's just being that love in here, because on a spiritual sense, that you've got that love flowing down, and obviously everyone else as well. So thank you so much for everybody who's watched us live. Thank you to everybody who's watched this recording. We really hope that this has really helped you. If you want to find out any more about the Earth Angel Sanctuary, which is what I actually founded to help Earth Angels help themselves to start clearing the different emotions, the you know, the fear, the traumas. You can read the first Earth Angel Training Academy book. Now it's in a PDF, plus there's loads of other stuff in there to really help you help yourself. So check that out, earthangelsanctuary.com. Also connect with Michelle. The books, highly recommend all of the books. And your website.
So it's michellegordon.co.uk, and then my blog is twinflameblog.com.
Twinflameblog.
Yeah.
So, and you've got lots of posts in there about twin flames.
Lots of posts about twin flames,
kind of
and you know, and I also do oracle readings as well on YouTube. So I get people emailing me questions, and I'll just do a short reading using the oracle cards that I've created from the characters in the book, and the characters give their advice on how to deal with their twin flame.
Awesome. That might be quite a cool thing to do one day, to do a hangout character.
Yeah, because this is Starlight, by the way.
Which is a bit like,
which if you've read the books, you'd understand.
Yeah, so it's, I don't know how quite feel out there quite. Sorry, but because I'm still Sarah. Still on this earth, we've still got missions to do, and ultimately it's about loving each other and loving ourselves enough to keep taking those steps, because it can be pretty scary with missions and doing all this kind of thing, and
it can seem very much, I mean, I know one of the lines in the book is, you know, how I'm so small, how can I make any difference at all? And one of my favorite quotes, and whether the Dalai Lama said it or not, was if you think you're too small to make a difference, try sleeping in a room with a mosquito.
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of, you know, it doesn't matter sort of how big or how small we are, you know, we can make a difference. But when we feel small and we know that we're here to make a big difference, it can be really overwhelming and too much.
Well, I can vouch for that. I can't believe you just out with me.
Sorry.
It can be pretty overwhelming when you feel that you're here for a big purpose. But it doesn't matter if it's big or if it's small. We're all here for a reason.
It all makes a difference, and you know, and also it's just about doing those small things, because it's all very well having a big purpose, but if you don't do anything, it doesn't matter, does it?
It all adds up. Think of the starfish. Starfish, great metaphor. That thousands. So it all adds up. So thank you from our hearts to yours. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. I sincerely hope that you reunite with your twin flame in this lifetime. If that's not meant to be, I sincerely hope that you can get some comfort around that, and that you're able to connect in another way. And so for now, thank you so much for watching, and I'm sure we'll connect with you again soon. Lots of love to everybody.
Bye.